Hello all, welcome back to True Wives Stories. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and thumbs up on this video. There is much to discuss today. Sister Wives star Kody Brown is back in the limelight following the recent tell-all episode. The Brown family has been experiencing a roller coaster of emotions, particularly following the devastating death of Garrison. In an attempt to set the record straight and answer questions from fans, Kody, Robin, Christine, Janelle and Meri reunited with host Sukanya Krishnan from the reality series. But during the reunion, Robin uttered something that stunned everyone. She suggested that Kody had not been truthful in the way he explained his previous relationships. This followed Kody attempting to justify his actions, claiming he never treated his wives differently and that his love for Robin was just greater. He claimed that love is different for everyone and that he was unjustly criticized for remaining close to Robin. But audience members and even Sukanya realized that his speech did not match things that he used to say. Robin then confronted him. She recalled that when she was still dating Kody, he would tell her just how much he loved his other 3 wives. Now, he's telling her he never did love them, and to Robin, this sounded like altering the story. She did not defend him, rather she appeared to concur with Christine, Janelle and Meri, who were obviously wounded by his statements. Meri inquired if they all needed to be like Robin in order to gain the love of Kody. Janelle made a joke that it would have been beneficial if he had previously clarified this. Christine essentially referred to his words as lies. The tension was palpable and feelings were running high. The news is not over yet. Part 2 of the exposé is being broadcast on June 1st. 2025, and it is expected to reveal even more surprises. Janelle shares how she feels about Kody and Robin, and Christine responds to being referred to as Kody's favorite ex-wife. Meanwhile, fans are still debating Robin's role in the family's breakdown. Many blame her for the split, saying she influenced Kody's decisions and prioritized her own family's needs. After moving to Flagstaff, things fell apart, and Meri and Janelle eventually left. But now some fans are looking at things differently. There is a good feeling that Robin's inclusion could have benefited the original wives in the end. Some believe that had Robin not joined the family, Christine, Meri and Janelle might still be trapped in their ill-fated marriages. Instead, they've all begun new, happier chapters in their lives. Janelle is constructing her dream house in North Carolina. Christine is remarried and very happy. Meri has worked on herself and is well in Utah. Though their marriages didn't work out, their lives are bright. But all didn't fare as well. The kids are the ones that have perhaps suffered the most. Lots have little to no connection with Kody anymore. They've seen him create a new life with Robin and her children and drift away from his other children. It's a sorrowful truth. Sometimes the individual who breaks your heart also sets you free. Even one of Kody's fans recalled an instance when his ex moving on to someone else pained her initially, but turned out to be a blessing. Perhaps Christine, Meri and Janelle share the same. So, what do you believe? Was Robin the cause of the family's downfall, or was she the turning point that brought joy to the other wives? During a private conversation, one of the wives made a poignant comment. Having observed Kody and Robin's relationship up close, she came to understand what a real partnership could and ought to be. As she described it, it caused the other 3 wives to recognize the distinction between a genuine, loving relationship and the scraps of emotion they'd been left with all those years. Robin Brown's entry into the Brown household was surrounded by controversy. Not only did she enter a complicated polygamous family, but she also entered with large amounts of debt. The other 3 wives, Meri, Janelle and Christine, came in and assisted in paying off her debts, even helping to build her a new house. However, once the family relocated to Flagstaff, the same assistance did not go out to them. They found it difficult to obtain houses of their own. Kody had promised once to unite the family together on a common piece of land known as Coyote Pass. But that vision never materialized. The land was eventually sold, another in a series of failed promises. Recently, the family had sat together for a tell-all reunion, an emotionally intense gathering of individuals who had once referred to themselves as one united family. Years of watching them grow, splinter, and now face the truth in a room designed for raw confessions had been a part of the viewer's journey. This reunion was not another episode, it was a reckoning. Sorrow still clung in the air following the tragic loss of one of their children. Add to that unfinished emotions, betrayals, and seething resentment, and the discussion gained even more intensity. The host, Sukanya Krishnan, opened the session with her trademark steady calm, easing the conversation slowly. But it wasn't long before the questions became impossible to overlook, and even more impossible to answer. The question that was most urgent was directed straight at Kody. Had he ever treated his wives equally? Did he give them all the same amount of love and respect? For years, Kody had been the spiritual head of the family. But now, facing his former partners, he wasn't above questioning. He freely admitted that he had endured years of public criticism, largely because of the love that he had for Robyn, his fourth wife. He stated that the backlash stemmed from how open and intense their connection had become. In his view, their relationship was genuine, and they were penalized for expressing it. With Kody still defending himself, he attempted to excuse the emotional imbalance by stating that people love differently. Then came a revelation that took the mood in a completely different direction. He confessed that he loved Robyn more than he loved his other wives. The words were in the air, painful and irrefutable. It was the very opposite of what he had claimed in previous seasons, when he vowed to treat all his wives equally. Now the reality was crueler. All in the room sensed the change. Even Robyn, the wife who had always remained calm and supportive, could not keep quiet. She had always been the peacekeeper, avoiding fights and preferring calm over conflict. This time, however, was different. She spoke softly but firmly. She remembered well that in their early days of courtship, Kody would constantly discuss how much he loved Meri, Janelle, and Christine. Those weren't passing remarks, they were the basis of her willingness to marry into the family. Now, listening to Kody say those relationships had never been about love wasn't just insulting to his ex-wives, it was a betrayal of what he had previously told her. She had believed in his fairy tale. Now she wasn't so sure if it had ever been true. Robyn did not come to his defense. Rather, she revealed a contradiction, one that appeared to be more about Kody defending his ego than speaking the truth. Her frankness was so unlike her usual reserved self, and with that, the door was opened for the other women to speak. Meri, ever the stoic with an inner steel, wondered out loud if she had ever truly known what love was like in her marriage. She gave a wistful smile as she wondered if they all were going to have to turn into Robyn just to get a little bit of the love they had been promised all these years. Then there was Janelle's voice, practical and down-to-earth as ever. And Christine, the most bold and outspoken of the trio, did not mince words. The women were no longer afraid to show their wounds. For the first time in a long time, they told their truths, raw, emotional, and powerful. Altogether, they wrote a picture not only of a failed marriage, but of a failed system. Their tales were not only about failed love, but about neglect, broken promises, and the courage it takes to finally leave. The wife, most frequently characterized as independent, laughed at the absurdity of it all. Had he only been truthful earlier, she said, they might have made alternative life decisions, years ago. Her laughter wasn't born of joy, it was the bitter variety that comes from years of pent-up anger finally having a voice. And then there was the last voice, combative and unyielding. She did not speak with hostility, but with the force of one who had been silenced for so long. For her, the whole story had been a lie. Whatever Kody attempted to reconfigure of their past, nothing could efface their actual experiences. What was unmistakably revealed in this passionate discussion was that Kody always had a version of the perfect wife stored in his head. He said he did the best he could to treat each woman equally, but his own tongue betrayed him. By his own account, he had always treated one woman better, perhaps not intentionally in the beginning, but gradually it was evident that his world emotionally was about her. The rest were relegated to emotional leftovers. But honesty is what love needs in order to endure. No longer content to remain quiet, the wives who once trailed Kody through every obstacle now stood alone, strong, self-conscious, and no longer willing to continue sacrificing themselves for a dream that never included them as equals. They were no longer merely wives, they were women finding themselves. As the episode wound down, there was a shift towards the future. Robin, who had been viewed as favourite, opened up. Rather than being sheltered by her connection to Kody, she became the target of backlash. The emotional cost was evident. She appeared more conscious than ever of the complex position she occupied, not only in the family, but in its disintegration. Her role, once privileged, now felt solitary. In the meantime, one of the other wives described the anger she still harboured toward Robin. Another woman she had referred to as sister. Another woman voiced annoyance over being branded the most favoured ex-wife, a designation that she felt was condescending as well as hurtful. "Every woman should stand on her own merit," she stated, her voice shaking with emotion. Ultimately, the tell-all laid bare more than bare bones. It opened up a family founded on devotion, fractured by favoritism, and finally compelled to face its realities. What was once a mutual dream of oneness had become an agonizing lesson in love, loyalty, and self-value. For years, fans portrayed Robin as a divisive influence, someone who was blamed for the collapse of a formerly united home. Most felt that Kody played favourites with her and her children and left the original wives in the dust. When the family relocated to the southwest, what was intended to be a new beginning only served to make the cracks there worse. Two of the original wives ended up leaving, which shook the family dynamic on a huge scale. But in the latest installments, some have begun to perceive Robin's place differently. Destruction appears to have become a bizarre sort of freedom. Her presence, even hurtful, perhaps was the impetus the other women required to truly release themselves from emotional abandonment and broken promises. In this revised perspective, Robin becomes a surprise blessing. Throughout the tell-all, she displayed incredible restraint. When questioned about her opinion on the new divorce between Kody and one of the initial wives, she refused to speak. Perhaps out of respect or in order to safeguard her own serenity, she remained quiet. Yet she did allude to more esoteric religious factors that led to the breakup, factors she refused to discuss openly. Silence only fueled more rumours. Throughout fan sites and social media, fresh opinions erupted. Some contended that Robin's presence was a wake-up call. Perhaps, they said, if she had not come, the original wives might have remained in silent misery indefinitely. One even described her as a hidden gift, intimating that her part, though uncomfortable, allowed the women to ultimately discover their own power. No matter what you think, one thing is for sure. This family was never the same once she had joined. And perhaps, just perhaps, that was the intention. Yet, the same element, once viewed as an interruption, proved to be a turning point. It became the catalyst for the original wives to rediscover themselves, find happiness, and rebuild their sense of self-worth. Today, each woman has created her own happy life. One has remarried and is living in a new chapter based on mutual respect and genuine love. The other is creating her dream house, away from the turmoil, in a tranquil environment that is true to who she is. The third keeps moving forward, becoming an outspoken voice for emotional health and self-acceptance. The children, the true lost. However, not everyone has rebounded so smoothly. The children, who were in the centre of the disintegration of the family, have suffered some of the most profound wounds. Most have strained or non-existent relationships with their father. Older kids tend to get left out, afterthoughts in a world where their father takes focus and concentrates it on one woman and her children, one forming a new family unit that others believe was always the preference. This has occasioned wider debates about merging families, neglect, and the psychological impact of separation on the child. While the adults discovered avenues to healing, the youth are left to chart a broken landscape, abundant in changing allegiances and shifting associations. Lessons from sorrow to growth. One of the disciples thought back individually, stating her own divorce, albeit sorrowful and made all the more challenging because she was pregnant at the time, eventually brought her to growth. Time and space provided insight. She no longer saw the breakup as solely loss, but as a new beginning. Similarly, the patriarch's interaction with his new mistress acted as an eye-opener for the original wives. Witnessing that dynamic made at least one of them appreciate what true support and emotional security felt like, something which had been absent in her life for far too long. That realization provided them with the courage to begin rejecting scraps of love and insist on true partnership. Money, promises broken, and the burden of debt. Financial issues only widened the gap. When the new wife came on board, she had a tremendous amount of personal debt with her. Rather than this being handled by herself, the whole family was to assist, particularly the original wives, who had issues of housing and security already. They were offered a dream, a big communal property in the southwest named Coyote Pass, where every wife would have a house and independence, but continue living together in harmony. That dream never materialized. The property was later sold. The dreamt harmony and communal life never succeeded. Instead, the women received more broken promises, financial strain, and a family torn apart. Public perception and emotional turmoil. The public closely observed. The new bride was usually Kody's emotional buffer, shielding him from judgment, tough talk, and the very women he had once vowed to love as an equal. Her guarded, sometimes reserved responses in interviews only added to speculation about her motives. Was she respectful or only pragmatic? Some commended her for remaining calm. Others faulted her for being cold or manipulative. Whatever the reality, public opinion was split. The road to freedom. In spite of all that, the tale of the original wives is really one of survival. After years inside a system that required them to forgo their emotional needs, every woman stepped up with bravery. One rebuilt a new family, one based upon equality and trust, and discovered love again. Another channeled her energy into making a tranquil home that reflected who she was, far from the past. The third was an influential voice for healing, channeling her experience to empower others to discover their own strength.